They built them so well that even the sky couldn't find them. During the chaos of World War II, while cities burned and armies clashed across continents, an invisible war was being fought underground, literally. Hidden beneath quiet forests and abandoned farmlands lay shelters so advanced, so perfectly designed for survival, that they outsmarted both the elements and enemy reconnaissance. These underground chambers didn't just protect lives, they became symbols of defiance, innovation, and raw human genius. And after the war, they were so effective that governments banned civilians from ever building them again. Forget the image of rough foxholes and hastily dug bunkers. What we're talking about here were earth chambers, handcrafted underground refuges engineered by resistance fighters and partisans across Europe. These weren't crude hideouts. They were stealth habitats, complete with ventilation systems, insulation layers and temperature control, all built without electricity, concrete or advanced tools. In places like occupied France, Poland and Yugoslavia, resistance networks created entire hidden communities below the soil. These chambers became war sanctuaries, safe zones where fighters could sleep, eat and plan operations while remaining completely invisible to patrols above. Even trained reconnaissance pilots couldn't detect them from the air. And here's the wild part. Many of these shelters still existed months after the war ended, untouched, intact, and completely hidden until heavy machinery accidentally broke through them. The secret wasn't in the shape of the shelter, but in its layers. Builders dug their chambers below the frost line, roughly 3 to 4 feet deep in temperate zones. That simple decision created a stable natural thermostat. Inside, the temperature stayed between 50 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit, no matter what was happening above ground. No freezing nights, no sweltering days. Then came the insulation layer. Above the chamber, resistance engineers added a mixture of dry leaves, straw, and sometimes woven reed mats. This wasn't just for warmth, it muffled sound. A soldier could shout underground, and a patrol standing a few feet away wouldn't hear a thing. And then there was the airflow system, a masterpiece of wartime improvisation. These shelters breathed through disguised ventilation shafts, often hidden inside hollow tree trunks or root tunnels. Air entered low on one side and exited high on the other, filtered through a blend of charcoal and moss. That natural filter didn't just purify the air, it removed human scent. Even trained detection dogs couldn't pick up a trace. It was a stroke of brilliance born from desperation. The natural world itself became a cloak of invisibility. Structurally, these chambers were compact but efficient, oval or bottle-shaped to distribute soil pressure evenly. The typical size? Well, about 6 feet long, 4 feet wide, and 3 feet high. Just enough for 1 or 2 people to lie flat, store supplies, and wait out danger. The rounded design prevented collapse and allowed water to flow around it instead of pooling inside. To keep the interior dry, builders laid a base of sand or ash mixed with crushed limestone. That blend absorbed moisture and, honestly, discouraged pests. Bedding came from straw, dry leaves, or animal hides. Every detail had a purpose. Even the entrance was tactical. It was narrow, angled downward, and sealed with a clay soil mixture that trapped heat and moisture. The exit? Ingeniously camouflaged, a mound covered in moss or the hollowed base of an old tree. You could stand on it and never know it was there. Above the shelter, they layered a foot of compacted soil, then more straw and grass, sealed it all with clay. That natural barrier turned the roof into a thermal battery, keeping the chamber between 50 and 60 degrees year-round. Completely self-regulated, no fuel or fire required. When the war finally ended, Allied and Axis intelligence both took notice. Thousands of these hidden chambers were discovered across Europe. Some were still stocked with food, maps and supplies. They had survived bombings, harsh winters and years of occupation. And that scared people in power. Military analysts realized that such shelters could be easily repurposed. In regions plagued by political unrest or resistance movements, these invisible structures could conceal weapons, fugitives, or entire militias. Governments in Eastern Europe, particularly under Soviet control, quickly ordered all civilian references to such designs to be destroyed or rewritten. Manuals disappeared. Blueprints were banned. The knowledge was buried, literally. To the authorities, these shelters represented an uncomfortable truth. The common person, with nothing but shovels, soil and ingenuity, had created something more effective than many government-engineered bunkers. Today, the Earth Chamber stands as more than a relic of war. It's a blueprint for sustainable living and survival design. Everything about it worked in harmony with nature. No electricity, no synthetic materials, just clever engineering rooted in physics and biology. For modern survivalists or anyone studying off-grid living, the lessons are powerful. Always prioritize drainage. Angle the entrance slightly upward to keep out rainwater. Balance airflow. Use a low intake vent and a high exhaust vent to maintain oxygen flow. And remember, insulation is your lifeline. A 3-to-1 mix of soil to organic matter creates the perfect natural barrier. These are not just survival tips, they are echoes of resilience. The World War II underground shelter wasn't built for comfort. It was built for defiance, for staying alive when the world above was falling apart. Every vent, every curve, every hidden tunnel spoke the language of survival and adaptability. Authorities may have tried to erase them, but these chambers remain silent teachers of human ingenuity. They remind us that the Earth itself can be both shield and sanctuary, that survival doesn't require modern luxury, just knowledge and creativity. The next time you hear about World War II, remember that some of the war's greatest innovations weren't forged in factories or battlefields, but beneath the ground, in the quiet defiance of those who refuse to be found. If this story intrigued you, hit subscribe and share it with someone who loves hidden history. You're watching The Forgotten War Fronts, where we uncover the lost ingenuity and untold brilliance buried by time, and sometimes by the Earth itself.